As the sun slowly slipped behind the mountains, Yasir's village began to fade into darkness. This was the same village where days passed in peace. People laughed and played, farmers worked in the fields, children echoed with joy, and the elders sat outside the mosque sharing old stories. But for the past few days, everything felt different. News, rumors, voices from the radio, and a strange fear on everyone's face, as if a storm was on its way. The tension on the country's borders had started to seep into the hearts of the villagers. Yasir, a 19-year-old boy who was always lost in books, now sat quietly in the fields every day, listening to the news. He was the only boy from the village who studied at a city university. But the university had shut down, and he had returned home. One evening, he asked his father, "Abaji, will there really be a war?" His father, Haji Rehmat Ali, who had seen a war with his own eyes, stayed silent for a moment. There was no fear in his eyes, only sorrow. War is never truly won, son. In war, everything is lost. We, you, sons, mothers, everyone. Yasir took those words to heart, like a wound that hadn't yet started to bleed. He could feel it. Something terrible was coming, and soon. Then one day, a loud explosion echoed outside the village. The ground shook, walls trembled, and birds scattered across the sky. No one really understood what had happened, but everyone knew. The times had changed. The explosion was near the border, but its echo reached deep into every heart in the village. The next day, the village cleric announced that children should stop coming to the mosque. Congregations were shortened, and women were told to finish all chores before evening. A strange silence took over, unfamiliar yet terrifying. Yasir, along with his friends Nabil and Imran, went for a walk outside the village. They reached the stream where a new water spot had been built just days ago. Nabil, with a heavy heart, asked, "What did we ever do to anyone? Why is this happening?" Yasir looked up at the sky, as if it held the answers. "We didn't do anything. We just happened to live near the border. That's enough." Days later, the sky at night began to roar with the sound of planes. Red streaks floated across the sky. Children clung to their mothers and cried. The elderly whispered prayers under their breath. Yasir remembered what his grandfather used to say. In war, it's not just bombs that fall. Relationships burn too. Now those words had turned into reality. One day, a wounded soldier was brought to the village square, his uniform soaked in blood. He kept asking for water. Yasir tore his own shirt to bandage the soldier's wound. Before passing out, the soldier said just one thing: "We're fighting, but we don't even know who against." Tears welled up in Yasir's eyes. He was beginning to understand. This war wasn't just at the border, it was inside hearts too. Then one night, the moment came. War knocked at the village's door. Sirens blared, people screamed, and gunfire echoed from across the hills. Yasir, who was about to sleep, ran out to the courtyard with his father. The sky roared with jets overhead. A shell landed in the fields outside the village. The ground shook like an earthquake. Some houses collapsed, and even the mosque's wall cracked. Yasir, Nabil, and Imran, always together, were now searching for each other. People were running, mothers holding their children tightly, verses from the Quran were being recited, and the men stared helplessly at the sky. Yasir remembered that same soldier. "We don't even know who we're fighting." When the smoke cleared in the morning, the village looked like a ghost town. Some houses had turned into piles of dirt, and some hearts were no longer beating. Yasir sat beside Nabil's mother, tending to her wounded hand. Nabil was still missing. How long will this go on? Yasir asked himself. But there was no answer, only silence. And that silence had covered the entire village. But in that very silence, a new thought was born. A rebellion began to rise in Yasir's heart, not against the government, not against the enemy, but against hatred. The hatred that divides humans from each other, that steals childhood from children and sons from their mothers. And from there, another war was about to begin. A war without guns, just a heart, a pen, and a message of humanity. Here's the English translation of your text. If you've missed all 3 episodes, or if you want to experience the full impact of this story in one go, then watch now. Message of Peace, the complete story, only on Story of Hope. The link is in the description.